For 43 years, the official record said Dan Marino fell to the 27th pick in the 1983 NFL Draft because of a disappointing senior season at Pitt. That's the story they tell. It isn't what happened. Someone made sure you'd never hear the rest of it. Here's what the records were rewritten to hide. In the spring of 1983, 6 quarterbacks went in the first round. John Elway went first. Todd Blackledge, Jim Kelly, Tony Eason, Ken O'Brien, each one came off the board before Marino's name was called. Scouts had him rated top 3 overall since his sophomore year. Pro personnel departments called him the cleanest arm they'd seen in a decade. Then on draft day, team after team passed, 26 times. He sat in a green room built for a top pick and watched the cameras drift away. Miami finally took him, and it changed the franchise forever. But the fall itself, that's the part nobody explained. The official version says Marino had a bad senior year, and bad years make teams nervous. Look at the tape, and that story falls apart fast. His completion percentage barely dipped. His arm strength graded out elite on every board in the league. What actually spread that spring wasn't a scouting concern. It was a rumor, a whisper that Marino had a drug problem, passed team to team through back channels in the weeks before the draft. No reporter could ever trace where it started. No team would put a name to it publicly. It moved through scouting departments the way a wildfire moves through dry brush, fast, untraceable, and impossible to put out once it caught. By draft day, general managers who had never spoken to Marino directly were repeating it as fact. Marino never failed a test. He was never arrested. No team ever produced evidence. If due diligence were the real explanation, that rumor should have died the moment someone checked it. Instead, it hardened. It moved from team to team faster than actual scouting reports moved, which should have been the first sign something was wrong. Rumors don't usually travel with that kind of coordination. Information that precise, spreading that fast, through that many war rooms at once, that isn't gossip. That's a network, and a network needs someone operating it. But that's not the part they buried. What actually happened in that scouting cycle came out in fragments over the following decades. In interviews personnel men gave long after they'd left the league. In comments Marino's own representatives made once nobody had anything left to protect. A small cluster of front office men, connected through old coaching trees and shared scouting contacts, ran an informal exchange outside the league's official channels. They traded information off the record, medical flags, character concerns, whatever kept a prospect's price down before their turn to pick, or nudged him toward a division rival they could beat instead of a team that could use him against them for a decade. It didn't require a conspiracy meeting or a signed agreement. It required a phone tree and men who trusted each other more than they trusted the truth. Marino, sitting in that green room, was the visible cost of an invisible system, a market where perception could be manufactured by the very people paid to evaluate it honestly, and where the manufactured version was indistinguishable from the real one by the time it reached a draft board. Miami got a Hall of Fame arm at pick 27 because of it, and that's usually where the story gets told as a lucky break. It wasn't luck. It was a market failure dressed up as scouting instinct. Marino lost millions in rookie-year leverage because his name carried a rumor no team would attach itself to. 26 front offices got to explain away a mistake without ever admitting what actually drove it. And the league never investigated because nothing that happened technically broke a rule. There was no rule against whispering. There still isn't. Which means the mechanism that buried Dan Marino's draft stock in 1983 was never dismantled. It was never even named. So here's the question nobody in that league wants asked out loud. If it happened to a quarterback this good in front of cameras, in an era before anyone was tracking scouting chatter, how many players has it happened to since, quietly, to prospects nobody was watching closely enough to notice the fall?